And welcome back after taking game 1 over Schalke 04. H2K are looking to pick up 3 points in the standings with another win to close out the day and also bounce back from their 1-1 result yesterday. What does Schalke have to change to take down H2K other than Ward Baron?
Technically, they could have won with the composition they did run. Obviously, that mid-fight we showed so many times where Rio had the sick play. Could have been a completely different story if he didn't pull that play and they got the 5v4. Obviously, you said it, Ward Baron. You can argue, obviously, was Sivir the correct choice? I think with the 80 carry bans, yes, she was perfectly fine. And she fit the Victor and the Maokai. So I basically think Schalke, I mean, it's hard to say play better, but there were some mistakes they made. H2K punished them,
It was a macro mistake that cost the game, not necessarily mechanical or, micro player decisions. So we'll find out if the team has been able to rectify that problem. We saw some shots of Nif backstage with the guys, talking about what went right and what went wrong. And immediately, as we jump into picks and bans, modification. Kindred was first picked by H2K in the previous game. We know Gilius is very comfortable on both Lee Sin and Elise, which he's run a bunch of times already.
What he loves is Nidalee. So he's trying to tell H2K, please ban it, or we will first pick it, and therefore try and force one of the bans on the side of H2K. Vladimir, no discussion. Great champion for Schalke, very, very strong in the current meta. And will not be touched in the next patch. That is live now.
Very interesting.
Next patch, he will be even better.
Earlier today, though, Betsy beat Vladimir with a Swain.
Yes.
He was able to out-sustain the damage that Vlad was putting down, so maybe we'll see some more of him in next week's games. Nidalee taken off the table, so Schalke said we were thinking about first picking it. H2K realize will not give it
very hard to figure out right there. Ryze is still open, the most banned champion in the EULCS and actually in every region. No one wants to give a free Ryze over. H2K did get it yesterday as a first pick. Schalke could first pick it if H2K does not ban it here. If they do ban it away, instead we're looking at the trading game because you have both junglers removed. There's there's Echo, which a lot of teams value, slightly above the Maokai. Then there's the Zia Victor trade, which will most likely happen. But it requires Ryze to be banned here, which it should.
Well, that first pick Ryze by Ryu yesterday did not win. It was taken down by Steelback's Jin. Had the pleasure of casting that game, and it will not be picked this game either because it's been banned. H2K decided to remove that off the table. So, in terms of some of the other high priority picks,
again we talk about Echo being the one team's value above the Maokai. First of all, there's no extremely hard counters to Echo. Like there are some of these sleeper picks against the Maokai that can really snowball out of control. You can pick a Trundle who can do extremely well against the Echo, first of all. But a lot of teams value the Echo very highly. Absolute worst case, you can also swap it mid, but I don't think it's very strong mid lane at the moment compared to top.
Alright, so we'll see if they want to run that. We know Fox has got so many other champions to play as well. The Victor still up and available.
I want to see Kate here again.
Yeah, as well. Kate and a jungler, or there's no real pressure, right?
You don't have to specifically take a jungler.
Biggest ones.
But I would just love to see Caitlyn being picked here by H2K because it was a Sivir as the answer for Schalke. Beforehand, you don't need to lock in your top laner. You can easily pick the AD carry, even go for support. But we see a lot of teams actually wait with support because there are so many counter options for it. I think Rek'Sai is a perfectly fine choice, and I like the Kate here. So definitely agree with H2K on this rotation.
Comfort pick there for Freeze. Yankos is going to go to Rek'Sai that we're seeing more and more and more on 6.10. And Schalke now can safely lock in a jungle, not reveal anything. Or they can go for another pinch roll if they want to.
Probably just going to be the Elise again for Gilius. But also with the Rek'Sai getting the physical damage in the jungle. Sets up for that Maokai pick. Potentially up in the top lane. But not really a big surprise if it gets locked in by Omnis. So you get the magic damage there plus your mid laner. Get your physical damage from 80 carry jungler. It is important when you build these compositions that want to go late game. You have a good mix of damage.
Yeah, Odo Omni ran Gnar yesterday. It was not great. We'll have to see what they decide to run in this particular matchup. Alistar Sivir once again, so same counter is not going to be the right word. Same pick into Caitlyn is what Schalke have done in the first game, and they've stolen the Alistar from Vander. Considering they banned the Braum out, that means they're going to push Vander into something else. We heard him say, I can play Bard, in that little outro clip. Let's see if they want to go that way.
I mean, again, a Zia Bard is an option if they want to play this. Very, very strong siege they can set up and always threaten with their Bard ulti towards these towers. But Schalke is basically saying we just need to get guaranteed engage Because we don't have the Maokai this time, we had the Echo instead, who's not guaranteed hard engage, while the Alistar with his Sivir ulti will be, obviously. So they're ready for H2K to draft Azir again. They're ready for H2K to once again build a composition that can siege really well. And then Schalke wants to have enough engage to always jump H2K, and we might get the exact same setup almost, where we have 2 team fighting compositions with good scaling on both sides. We talked about the Maokai. That's why, again, you can take the Rex side because you get magic damage from your top laner. And it's going to be most likely Azir or Victor as the last pick for Ryu. I would say Azir, if it is open, he's going to go for it. And then Schalke just need this time around to be able to actually execute the engages and not fall on their faces.
Well, do Schalke then maybe pull a fast one? Consider locking in LeBlanc, maybe dissuade that, but you don't want to run that into the likes of Maokai. What else can Fox pull out? Just steal the Azir for himself?
Yeah, I can take the Azir, for sure. Definitely be an option for him. Take away some of that siege potential H2K were building towards and had in the last game. Also, Rio had such a good game, so yeah, you can steal that one away. Gragas jungle, we've seen it from Trashy quite a few times. Body Slam Flash is still extremely strong. He is just very slow in the early game. Doesn't really have any way of threatening like Rek'Sai. Rek'Sai can go Titanic Hydra in the matchup and be very strong and be a threat against a Sivir, be a threat against an Azir. Definitely, and just power farm the jungle. But both junglers can gank, which again sets them up to be active in the early game. But funny enough, we have a team fighting comp from Schalke. We have some split pushing on the side of Ashe. If we don't, because
no,
the
support.
I just got super excited for a moment. But we're also gonna have a team fighting comp for H2K. Funny enough. And we're going to get exactly the same setup. Just
it took
2 different champions.
It took 10 minutes to get exciting in game number 1.
Yeah, we expected 20. And we only needed to wait 10. So.
Oh, that's not fair. The lane swap was exciting as well. It took 10 minutes to get the kills on the board.
Fair enough.
That's going to be a bit more of a fair statement, I feel. But Schalke going to commit to this team fight composition. H2K going to reply in kind. And we'll see who's going to get the advantage. I mean, H2K just showed they had superior macro, superior map play in the very first game that allowed them to secure those objectives.
I just love how we have like these tanky supports, we have what's going to become tanky junglers, so even the Rek'Sai obviously building a lot of tanky items towards the late game, tank top laners of course, and then we have very, very standard picks in mid and AD carry.
Is that the thought? That's what it is?
My brain just kind of stopped and it was like, yeah, we do. Rats.
So we have the similar style team compositions on both sides.
That's why I need you.
We've seen Schalke have been able to team fight very well. H2K have been able to play the map very well. One thing that is good is Ryu, the man that made that game-changing team fight play, is on a champion that has slightly less ability to do so.
Yeah, he can just like one-shot you instead. But yeah, you're right. He can't set up that
you have less room.
Engage.
You have less room for an outplay on a champion like Victor because he's a lot more linear.
I agree.
You either stand in the death ray or you get caught by the Chaos Storm or not. Whereas Azir has got the ability to, fly all around corners and knock you into all sorts of different places. There's your team comps, guys. Will Schalke be able to bounce back, or will H2K pick up 3 points here in the last series of week 1? The crowd here is excited in Berlin in the arena. Don't get up just yet to Fish Show.
Gotta pause again, like last game.
Unfortunately, we do. I love hearing the chants, though. It is very, very good. A lot of support for H2K.
Always been one of the good things about the H2K name. It's easy to
chant.
yell. Very, very, very easy. Multiple Schalke members are now quitting the game, basically.
Yes, because there was a client loading problem. So once again, PCs will just get the game reload and jump back in.
Both supports running Ignite here, so we could, if we get standard lane, see some action. Again, the Caitlyn is good into the Sivir in the lane, but it's a lot about just who gets to push and what support you have next to you. Well, there's all-in potential, obviously, when you have an Alistar, and Trundle is more, it takes slower fights.
Well, we've got a little bit of time here, so Fisher, what do you think of the EULCS meta? We've seen 20 games now. Well, we'll see the 20th in a moment. In comparison to what you're seeing outside, like in LCK and LPL from CSQ.
I think if you compare to LCK, a lot of it is the same. Honestly, a lot of the same champions being used. Funny enough, teams find the best ones. Been some more different mid laners over the LCK. They've tried out some different things. Where in Europe, we've kind of stuck a lot to like Azir, Victor, the Vladimir, standard Ryze being banned, of course, in every single game except for one. But we've seen a lot more fighting around dragons. from most teams, and we also seen teams who didn't value Dragon at all get punished for it, like Origin yesterday. I feel like the meta is slowly but surely finding its place. But I don't think it's over yet. I think we can see more with the Rift Herald.
Yeah.
Teams figure out different things. Obviously, again, next patch have a lot of changes. A lot of the current top picks getting nerfed, and then suddenly we will get so many new picks. Yeah, brand new meta happening. So it doesn't even matter so much for this week specifically, because it will change very soon.
We have to figure out who can adapt the quickest. A little pulverized there from Sprattle. He found a little bit of trouble from H2K. We're loaded up onto the Rift, taking stock. No lane swap shenanigans going on.
Just trying to look a bit at some of the late game fights we will see. Obviously, we have enough engage on the side of Schalke with both Gragas and Alistar, and then a save ulti to back them up, even though Azir technically does not always want to like dive straight in with the rest of the tanks. He can sit back with his very long range and deal damage to the backline. So a lot of ways for Schalke to try and get onto Freeze and Rio here, and only a Trundle to peel. And Trundle in itself is not enough peel against a lot of hard engage. He's very good against teams that have to like run at you, but it's going to be like flash engage from an Alice. It's going to be body slam flash from a Gragas. Like Trundle can't stop that. He can't peel for an AD carry. So we need to see Rio and Freeze stay very far back in these fights and be able to survive that initial engage. But that's obviously in 25 minutes time.
Right, last time we said that, it took half that amount. So
well,
what happens at 12 and a half?
We probably see some other stuff happen before, but I just mean like for the real late game fights we will get.
All right, so lane swap was initiated here by Schalke. Riles and Sprattle have moved their way into H2K's jungle. Sprattle's going to be really annoying. I don't think he's going to get spotted as long as he doesn't move. Jankos, oh, he moved. I think Jankos,
no, he's not
no tremor sense, so won't be able to.
Is he just going to try and steal the red buff?
All right, how cheeky does he get?
Well,
Sprattle's got Ignite. Sprattle's also got Flash.
60 damage on his Q right now.
360 hit
about
points
50 on the red buff.
This is very exciting.
Wait, Jankos
backing away.
Oh, he's back. Oh, he just waited for the smite.
Played very, very safe. I think that's fairly clever because Sprattle was not in lane.
Yeah. There's
no
only one place he can be.
Yes.
Like it's in the bush right next to you. You obviously know he's never gonna kill you, so you're not really afraid of him. You just don't want him to steal your red buff.
Yeah.
Meaning Rallis gets some free farm and a free experience here, and it actually means Schalke are very slow on this first push. Look how fast H2K are. Second wave instantly pushing in. One thing we see more and more is top laners
teleporting.
They teleport into the lane because they don't really need the teleport to set up big dives at the moment. So instead they can use it early to make sure to get a bit of experience in the jungle or in the lane, and then a TP in for that push. So very early, good start, and Jankos going in.
He's flash caught Fox. Fox forced to heal and try and get away.
Well,
the tower turns it round.
We saw that
Gilius
yesterday.
Gets first blood.
Jankos trying to pull off a very aggressive gank where he's flashing forward, trying to trade flashes with their Azir, but not realizing there could also be a jungler nearby, and Gilius shows up. Exactly what happened yesterday for Jankos. He gives up first blood. Great start for Schalke. Despite falling behind in the lane swap, you will see a difference in CS between the two top laners because Odoamne has so much time now to sit and clear out this wave. Has a very deep ward to spot the Sivir, then he can push out even further. So this does suck a bit for Steve, but it's great for Schalke in the mid lane, and Jankos just... he's hoping to trade here with the Azir, like get the Azir flash as well. But you have no vision on top side, obviously. You have no idea where enemy jungler is, and if you can be near the mid lane, well, so can the enemy jungler, obviously. And Jankos just too aggressive.
Yeah, thanks to the donation of first blood from Jankos. Schalke 0-4 with Fear first bloods. All 4 games, managed to grab themselves the first kill. It's especially important on Gilius because his matchup against Rek'Sai was going to be weaker in the early game. So he's got that early first blood, got that early advantage, and even got that donated red buff, so
right,
a little bit of extended cooldown.
And the thing I kind of hate the most about the play from Jankos is I feel like there's such a small win for him because it's effectively just trading flash for flash, but there's such a high risk of you getting counter ganked when you go that aggressive. And also, rest of H2K were winning the lane swap because Odoamne were getting so much time on the bottom lane because they were so fast on the push. Look at him, 15 CS to 1. A level above Steve as well.
And halfway to the next level.
So he's gonna get here. He's gonna get another tower, obviously, and a few more minions. And then normally you actually see teams now get the lanes set up after these tier 1 towers goes down. So you get the standard 2v2 on bottom side, which means when this tower dies, Odoamne can actually just freeze it and force Steve then to have to run up and try and push out a wave that's already pushing away from him. and then get the 2v2 on bottom side for H2K. But they're behind in gold now because Jankers were so aggressive there. Wait for these minions to die as Amner, kill it, and then you are in a very good spot as a top laner. It's the best you can hope for in these swaps.
Yeah, especially when you saw how long it took for both Steve and Odoamne to become involved in the first game. Extended lane swap, starving them of resources. Steve shares some of that gold there. And Fox, once again, under some trouble. Vanda, it's a pretty good pillar down, though Fox held on to his flash. He only burned heal during that first blood trade.
And now we just gotta see how long Steve stays in lane, because the longer Steve stays in the lane, the more time Odoamne knows he has to push out the wave, and if Steve stays, he knows, okay, he's not coming topside instantly. That means Mr. Rallis is coming topside. You gotta send your AD carry somewhere, and then Odoamne can start pushing out. So you use the information the minions on bottom side give you, and of course the fact you had a warded lane to spot Rallis now, so that means Odoamne again picks up a few more CS. Steve is going to get denied the rest. And now we just have something we didn't see too much this week, a third part of the lane swap where you start pushing in for tier 2 towers. It's become like more like you get tier 1s and then you get standard lanes, so you have control on bottom side for dragons. It is a mountain drake, takes a little bit longer to kill, but it does have a lot of value. Still though, Schalke realizing, okay, we need to try and get Steve some farm. We don't want to put him in a lane where he's going to fall even further behind now. So we keep swapping it around.
Let's see if they can find Steve any farm, any sort of levels.
This, by the way, why you don't wait at red buff as a support for such a long time, because you normally want to be up there early helping pushing in when the enemy team is doing that.
It's the whole ripple effect. Early game decisions and how much it's going to come back to haunt them. Odo's got his teleport available. He's going to still be in lane while Rawls is busy shoving in under the turret. If this was the spring split, team would then look at the Herald as the next objective, but it's not. Instead, Ryu's going to be the target of a dive. Body slam over the wall.
Nice.
Gilius with the barrel, a flash from Ryu. Here comes Sprantel. They prepared a 3-tier dive. The Chaos Storm will burn them down, but Rolls joins the party as well. Gets in on the assist and a 4-man gank. Grabs a second kill.
So I think H2K made the right choice in going to defend on top side, secured on all that farm, and as soon as Schalke moved away, Ryu should have known, okay, they're coming for me in the mid lane. But he's staying on the tower, 4 members show up, nothing he can do at this point. It's all about what happens like 5 seconds before. Once you're stuck under this tower against 4 members, you're going to die. A lot of flashes used, yes. But I think H2K had the right idea of defending tower, but then should have known, okay, they're coming towards mid. It's the only place they can go, it's towards mid lane, because the Rift Herald is too strong now. For you to just rush it, if there's so many other members on top side, it's too high of a chance you will get stopped at Rift Herald, and then you lose a lot of time. Ryu shouldn't have been staying on the tower there, and gets punished for it.
So, Schalke, some good early kills on the board. It's equated to a small gold lead, but that's nothing really to speak of, because the CS difference between Steve and Odo is still gigantic. Level 4 versus level 6. So, if anything were to break out, the value of an Odo TP is so much greater. You can actually see Steve just fighting for scraps down bottom, while Odo, again, uncontested in the top lane.
Yeah, and again, this is why it's so important when you have these small advantages in the lane swap that you understand how to get the most of it. So while Steve is getting some farm on bottom side, well, it means that he's stuck in a lane that's pushed very far down towards tier 2 tower, and he doesn't really want to leave. Well, that means the river is open for H2K, and that's a free dragon. Where there's really nothing Schalke can do as a response, because they want to make sure Steve is getting farm now and not having to TP into a fight all of a sudden, lose extra farm, maybe doesn't even get anything in the fight. He will pick up a wave here, but he's still going to be behind.
Yeah.
And now he just needs to catch up when he's pushing out that top wave, while H2K can try and make plays on the bottom side of the map, because they have a level 7 Maokai at this point. There's a few deep wards behind Schalke's bot lane. Opens up for H2K to set up an aggressive play with Odoamne.
Odo potentially can find a target.
If Schalke pushes further up, again, look at that ward in the tri-push as well, but it requires Schalke to push with the bottom lane.
And then move through the river up.
Well, move through the river or just move further up the lane to try and push out, and then you TP on them and you have a good setup for H2K. You can see they're pushed even further now, but we have no jungler nearby. Jankers is not even close to the bottom side. So now H2K is saying, we're not looking for an aggressive play. Wait for that big wave to come back, it seems, for Odoamne.
Alright, so waiting for the wave. Fox is going to shift some sands around and poke out Ryu. He picked up an early Negatron cloak, as well as the first step towards that Nash's. In contrast to Ryu, who just went straight Rylai's in game 1. Additional MR is going to help out.
I don't think Abyssal is necessary here on Azir. I think going just straight Nashes into Rylai's is actually better. I don't think Abyssal is that great of an item unless you're under a lot of kill pressure.
Yeah.
From an AP champion.
To be fair, Jankos showed his face at, 4 minutes
yeah,
in
but he's physical damage anyway, right? So you don't care about him specifically with the Abyssal. But yeah, obviously he's been under pressure, but I actually don't think he needs it.
But look at what the difference is. That gank and that kill that EULCS was able to secure very early on allows Fox to work plus 20 CS. Ryu is at the point that Victor can now start pushing back and start dealing with that Sand Soldier push. But for Schalke, they're pretty happy. 11 minutes in, they've got a 1,500 lead. Kill advantage.
Push out top, so
playing the map pretty well so far.
Yeah, and I think honestly H2K could have been more aggressive in the way they were playing because they had that advantage on top side. They knew Steve was going to push out that wave very slowly. Could it look to set up a play on bottom side, but you just see Gilius was hovering around his AD carry support, knowing okay, only place H2K can force anything is bottom side. So I'm going to be down here. If I see Jankos, we know something is up and we're not going to keep pushing. They didn't see Jankos and therefore Schalke got to push out the bottom side. And it's very small movements of like few members that can set up a play or cannot set up a play. I do think again H2K had a chance to be aggressive because they had the Maokai so far ahead and Steve did not want to leave his lane. But they opted to just play it extremely slow.
But one of the things as well, I wanted to sort of start a discussion about is Freeze again. He went for that cold pickaxe as his first item. Slight difference this time around. Gonna go more AD early. What we've seen from his Caitlyn games previously was the pickaxe into Hurricane. And Freeze as an ADC, with the exception of one Lucian game, has been pretty slow out the gates. His itemization choices, the champion choice.
He's also been playing a lot of lane swaps. As a Caitlyn, right? It's not exactly the most action-packed thing to do. You clear out a few minion waves, you hit the tower a few times, and you don't get to bully your lane. Like we like to see with Caitlyn players when they get a strong lane matchup, 2v2, then you can really see some action. But as Reckless was talking about on the analyst desk, I mean, Freeze is not known as like a massive lane bully specifically. He's a fine laner, he's a strong mechanical player. But it's more what Freeze can add to the team environment and the teamwork than it's like an individual upgrade over Forgiven. Because Forgiven obviously is more of a lane bully, is more of a 1v9 type of guy now. Freeze used to be that kind of guy, but we have to go back a few years. And he's learned. Yeah. He's gotten older.
He's grown up a little. That might be why he's playing slower.
Yeah, older and slower. Fits together.
All right, 13 minutes in. Dragon's going to be up in 2 minutes' time. It's it'll be the Ocean Drake. And it's not super important to fight over. Schalke, they've grouped themselves up in this middle lane, 4-man stack. Steve's backing off and has teleport available, so if any fight were to break out, the ability to join. It's too early in the game to have those home guards.
And everything that happens right now is just built around who's pushing minion waves first and how far can you push them up. Because whenever you get to push it past the river towards the enemy, it opens up for you to rotate first to another lane, and then you get a few hits on tower. You saw H2K had to push up bottom side with Freeze and then run in and join to stop it, and that's just a few hits on tower. It's not exciting, but the tower will take a bit of damage every time, and if you do it 2 or 3 times more, or maybe even just 1 or 2 times more, you actually get a full push on that tower, you take it down, you open up the map, and very small advantages you will get. But it's about the fact that you don't want to just randomly dive. You don't need to force anything super aggressive if you can keep pushing waves. One thing Silver always have done well is how fast you can push out a wave and then move. But we're basically playing the way I expected last game to be played.
Yeah.
Very slow in the start. More controlled. And then it will explode once we get later into the game and we start fighting over Baron and the last few dragons.
Yeah, once you start seeing some more item spikes. I mean, Steve yet to finish his first big upgrade. Odo's got a Spirit Visage. Nash's Tooth was just picked up for Fox. Ralls has been on his Essence Reaver for a little while, and Freeze got those Swifties, got a Zeal.
Once the Hurricane before the IH, of course.
Got some control.
On its own is not that great, so he was also saying, guys, I have some strong items, but I have nothing completed yet because I actually want another item, so I need a bit more time. I want to hit my 2-item spike, and then you're going to see H2K push out a bot lane and then start setting up traps around these dragon areas. Well, the only one there is. There's not 2 of them. It's the dragon area. And then try and bait Schalke into some of these fights where they have to walk past all the traps. That's what Caitlyn does so well. People are wondering about this skill order. What you do with Caitlyn in lane swaps is you get 3 ranks in Q, so you can push these waves faster, and then you max your trap after, and that is exactly what Freeze is doing.
3-3. We'll see what those traps do. Schalke trying to get some vision down, but look at the minimap. H2K have got a ton of wards in the back of that Dragon Pit, so a lot of options for Odo there to play with, and he is still alone in that top lane. Still continuing to push that one out, so the longer Schalke dance here, the further Odo can push that wave.
Yeah, top laners just keep trading farm with each other. A lot of wards behind
thank you.
Schalke again, where there are TP opportunities for Odo. When he pushes down this wave and Steve shows up to take it, you can make an aggressive play with teleport because you force Steve to follow you so he doesn't get that farm. And that's how you can get a bigger advantage for your top laner. But H2K are happy farming up 2 items on both Victor and Caitlyn before they do anything, also because Schalke can't really massively snowball out of control because also, as you said, it's a Cloud Drake. Oh, sorry, it's an Ocean Drake right now. They're not really too bothered giving up an Ocean Drake. They're not losing anything at the moment, but every time you see Schalke push out this wave, look at Freeze having to clear it, they go mid lane.
It's a discussion of risk versus reward. Is it worth fighting over? What advantage will it give us versus what will it cost us?
Yeah, is it worth it for H2K to take a Caitlyn who at this very moment is not very strong without completing any items yet, put her into a team fight just to deny some CS for Steve? Not really. That's why they're fine.
Yeah.
Just saying, you know what, wait 2 items. We don't care about the Drake. All they need to care about is the fact that Schalke will push out bot lane with Sivir, move mid lane, get some damage on mid tower. But as long as that mid tower stands, you can keep doing this.
That mid laner has continued to defend his tower. Although saying that, Ryu is falling a little further behind in CS, has been under a lot of pressure throughout the course of this early game. 181 versus 150, plus a kill and an assist in Fox back pocket. So it equates to around 1,300 gold difference. The needlessly large rod between them. And that is a sizable difference, especially when you consider that Fox is currently sitting on 2,000 gold, so he's going to want to spend that, upgrade, work towards his next item, ahead of the 25-minute team fight that the show promised us.
And he really wants to rallize for that fight, but if he's going Abyssal, he obviously won't get it, and that's why I don't like it, because I don't think you need it. I think it makes you weaker for that first big fight.
Slows down that power spike.
Right, and that first big fight can snowball everything. If one team manages to get a clear win in that fight, that can be a Baron straight away. And then suddenly we have the same setup as the last game. But this again, the rotation
the tower
from Schalke.
Under some pressure. No autos from Rolls though. I think he caught one onto Jankos, unable to... didn't want to risk, let me put it that way, stepping further forward. But chipping away at the tower, one wave at a time.
Yeah, we said it could be 2 or 3 times you go in there. This is the 2nd or 3rd time they're here now. One more push in.
Hey.
H2K is here. There are no walls behind Schalke at all. For the TP on.
Pick the tunnel. Gilius' body slammed forward. There's a lot of threatening postures here. Schalke, they're playing very forward, daring H2K to fight, knowing that they've got this temporary item bonus with the Essence Reaver and the utility Sivers going off the team. H2K, don't bite.
And this scene what we're seeing here, again, Freeze is not at a point where he really wants to fight. There's 2,000 gold on Rio as well, so Schalke were like, we're fine. We want to take the fight. Please, teleport on us. Engage on us, because we are actually stronger at this very moment, because you sit on so much gold with your mid laner. Rio needs to go back and spend all this gold here, obviously. But he doesn't want to give up a free mid tower. That's all H2K has been defending for the last 8 minutes. It's just this mid tower.
Right.
And buying time.
That defense has allowed time to go shop. 19 minutes in. Raz is going to back as well, so a couple of big items will be picked up. Keep your eye on that mini-map, on the inventory screen rather. Zeal for Raz. Eye of the Equinox was picked up by Vander a lot earlier. Fiendish Codex, Negatron, upgraded boots for Ryu. So still not a powerhouse. They're still waiting to find that strength, I think, to Fishio.
And then again, no one cares about the Ocean Drake at this point. There's been actually no focus on it, except for now, where H2K is saying, oh, you're recall? Fine.
You have to say, so the moment you said it, they go and focus it.
But I mean, does it really count when the enemy team just recalled all of them and you just returned from your recall? Kind of free objective to take.
It is a free objective, but it's one that H2K will take gladly.
Definitely. And it's, I mean, Ocean Drake is not bad.
They lose a tower though. We're going to take a look at the HP. Oh, Raul stepped all the way forward. Oh, look at that. One hit difference. I think if you just push that wave in, the minions can do it for you.
Don't get baited though. Always when it's like one hit you need, AD carry overextends a little bit too much to get that one hit, and then suddenly engage happens. But H2K really want to have Odamna there instantly.
There you go, focusing the dragon. Not enough wave clear on the minions.
Yep.
Although, to be very fair, that tower was going to fall soon anyway, right?
It was taking a lot of damage.
There was not a lot of time before it was knocked. But the third tower of the game in favor of Schalke means they now have a 2,000 gold lead, growing ever so slowly. Needlessly large rod, as well as a pair of boots for Fox, so got some additional AP to work with.
But it's good, we can kind of save our boys a little bit. What you see from their Zir here is, in fact, he wants to Rylise, and he's realizing he didn't actually really need that MR at this point. He doesn't need an Abyssal Scepter, so he's just kind of skipping past that one item. Just delays his second item spike, but again, save your energy, Trevor.
It's a double-edged sword, though, right? This slower pace, yes, it's allowing Freeze to farm his way up. It's giving Ryu a chance to complete his Abyssal Scepter and farm back. But Steve is back in the game as well. Steve,
yes,
ahead of CS in front of Odo when he was down around 30, 35 at one point. But it's been 20 minutes of farming, so it's not a it's not a particularly surprising turn of events.
And now H2K needs to make sure they don't make the mistake Schalke made in the last game, where because you have given up so much map control, you have no vision over Baron. It is alive, and then suddenly gets rushed down by the Azir team. Some wards being placed by Schalke, but H2K is around, and there is the Rylise. I'm happy to see this. Thank you very much.
And the Hurricane. We have items. We were promised team fights at 25 minutes.
Oh, will it be?
Can we get a? We should get a picture of a Deficio face with a 3-minute timer to see whether or not there's a thumbs up at the end. So I was right or not. Steve and Odo going to be trading it tank v tank. Keep watching. Parallel sidestep. And we continue fighting. Is that as exciting as you were hoping for?
Yes, I actually think it was more exciting watching an Azir kill minions. I also think it's exciting to see teams fighting over vision now.
Yeah. Some props to Schalke as well. Pushing up on the blue side. Slightly easier to get into the river around the pit, but also pushing in H2K's jungle.
Yeah, you see the very defensive wards from Freeze. Defensive traps from him, sorry, not wards. He plays Ryu needs to be a little bit careful. It's a flash engage from Agragas, and then suddenly Ryu's in trouble. They're getting closer to the 25-minute mark.
And that means potential Baron fights as well. 1, 2, I'm counting 3 pink wards that I can see already from Schalke.
None in the Baron pit itself at this point. Obviously they know it's only blue trinkets that can kind of get in there because they're blocking the rest of H2K, but they don't have enough control yet over this jungle to really force the Baron. That's why you see them move in here, so that we're slowly building up for that big fight.
Setting up those pockets of vision. Fox really getting some good damage onto Bandit, chunking him out. A pink ward all the way forward. So that's the 4th one. You can see it's advanced that pink ward line. Still got the ability to put another one down. Steve with teleport and pushing the bottom lane.
And right this moment, one of the really cool things about this is how good he is at actually pushing past the dead tower. Plays his own turret now and force H2K to sit really far back, meaning they can't contest anything in the jungle because Azir is controlling mid lane with the tower. Better push, obviously. Caitlyn can't do anything against him, so he gets to just get full control of mid, pushing it in. Caitlyn doesn't want to go to a side lane, and they use it to get some control, but not really enough to gain anything, and we're still waiting for the big engage.
Yeah, and this is a little problematic for Schalke. Sunfire Cape just completed for Odo one day. Infinity Edge and Perfect Hex Call in the last minute, so big damage upgrades. Tankiness for the H2K squad. They're still down marginally, 2,500 gold. But I think when you add the value that Vengeful Maelstrom can bring to a team fight, H2K still have very, very powerful options.
And it's important to highlight how hard it actually is for Schalke to really push anything, because there's so much wave clear on the side of H2K as well. There's all the traps being set up in front of a tower. It's very risky for Schalke to try and all in for one turret. That's why they're playing it so safe. They also know they have a good late game. Sure, there's a range disadvantage when we look at AD carries, but then you have an Azir as well in the late game. So it's gonna be extremely interesting. Tanks on both sides. Sivir with her late game damage is great, but obviously Caitlyn is one of these fantastic hyper carries on the side of H2K.
And I think we have to praise both of the teams here for not making big mistakes. Playing to exactly what their team comps are meant to do, really. You know, it's not flashy, but it is controlled, it is calm. It is looking for those opportunities where you can punish your opponent as opposed to making mistakes themselves.
And H2K keep finding some of these wards here. You see the one in the wall, actually, that doesn't get spotted by pink ward in front of the Baron. So they get to keep some vision in river all the time.
So Now, Gilius will spot and clear that out. Very, very cheeky ward placement. But
I mean, at this
you
point,
need to do it.
At this point as Schalke, if you really want to have that fight, you need to start the Baron, have one of your tanks tank it, and then when you see H2K move in, you then have that flash engage from an Alistar, from a Gragas, and that's how you start the fight. H2K literally don't care about you hovering around here at the moment.
Yeah. Because H2K know they can wait for their opportunity to fight.
And also the pink ward placed by Schalke was outside of the Baron pit, so there's a ward being snuck in behind it from H2K on the minimap, meaning again, they're like, we know you're not starting Baron, I dropped my pen as well.
Burn your tongue on T, drop
Pick
your
the
pen.
back up, and just play by playing my own life at the moment.
There we go. I like that. By the way, the entire time we've been looking at this Baron vision, Steve and Odo have been trading back and forth, and Odo's coming away.
By the way, because he can't sustain himself when Maokai can.
Yeah, Odo's coming away in a better situation. Thanks to that sap magic passive.
Are we ready, Trevor? Ready? It's gonna
I am ready. I'm ready.
Happen.
But the vision is not set up. So until those wards are contested, or until Schalke pull the trigger, I mean, they have to dare H2K to fight. What is the next dragon? It is live and it is Ocean. See that on the mini-map? So again, nothing really super valuable.
This is 3 dragons for H2K.
Yeah.
Again, double Ocean. Late game is not the greatest, where you have a lot of fights happening and you're constantly in combat. It's good if you have a lot of poke, but obviously the Elder Drake in itself is always strong. So another 10 minutes for that one.
The next one's going to be Mountain.
So
we'll have a Mountain Drake at about 32 minutes, and then Elder around 38. But by that point, a Baron fight may have happened and a team may have won. Because the later and later you go,
with the pace of this game, I'm not sure.
This is a one and done kind of game. Because one dramatic team fight will result in a large lead that a team can then finish the game. Because you're this late in. It happens.
True. My brain is fried right now. I can't really find anything to talk about.
I'll help you out. I'll help you out. Because down bottom, Odo and Steve are continuing to trade. Is there anything that Steve or Odo could be doing outside of just trying to push this lane in? Because they're kind of just neutralizing one another.
I mean, yeah, you can teleport away and give us a big team fight, as an example. Like, Steve is not winning the fights right now. They're just really trading farm, not even farm, they're just pushing minions back and forth. It's so much just about, like, who has the control around Baron, right? Because can you then maybe sneak it? Can you get a good start to the fight where the other team has to like running from 2 angles to try and stop you? But Schalke is not committing hard enough. H2K does not want to commit anything because they want to keep scaling up with their composition.
Well, I think it's a big testament to the fact that it's the first week of the summer split. When you're looking at these teams not willing to take big risks, but also not realizing some of the other small mistakes around clearing out vision in the Baron pit.
Some people like to say, you know, this is the EULCS and a lot of teams don't really do anything for like 30 minutes, but I do feel like this week it's not been the case. We've actually had very action-packed games. Even the last one.
Yeah.
Just defending the EULCS a little bit. But this has been...
Gilius is in some trouble.
Oh no, calm down, Trevor.
Body slams away. Summoner spells available for everybody. And
no surprise, there's been no fight for like 15 minutes.
It is just a matter of vision. And the moment there's a hole in that vision, it's currently being plugged up. I mean, Schalke plus 4,000 gold, nearly 30 minutes on the clock. CS, the only thing that's really worth talking about is the advantages for Fox and Ralls, but even that, slightly irrelevant when you look at the item break points that everybody's reached. There's a pink ward in the pit for Schalke this time round.
They have the vision control. Pushing up the mid lane is where you can... Oh, go in!
There's the body slam into the parallel convergence! H2K have lost freeze just like that! Schalke break the game wide open. They take down Jankos where he stands. Gilius will be taken down by a tower shot by Ryu, but Fox sends the soldiers forward, looking for his opposite number. Ryu's able to run for his life, but Vander is forced to flash. The inner turret goes down, and that was a great engage from Schalke.
Something they could have done earlier, but now they found the right moment for them to engage, and we talked about this. Go back, 2 years or maybe 20 minutes. We mentioned how this Caitlyn, there's not really anything that can peel properly for her against Flash Body Slam, against the Alistar flashing in as well. And they finally found the right engage, takedown freeze. Instantly, they get the Baron as well. Slow and steady, kills the AD carry. And now, Schalke was about to call him the full name. Now Schalke is ready to play more aggressive. Again, this is great engage from Gilius. Straight into a stun from the Echo, into a combo from the Alistar. I mean, you couldn't chain that CC any better. And really nothing as an AD carry you can do, other than once you see the body design from Gragas, you flash already, but then you don't have to flash for next time. So it's so hard to react against this body design flash engage. And some of you just waiting and waiting for, talked about it 20 minutes ago, happened now.
And you have to give kudos to Steve and Gilius. Coming from two different directions, comboing into the parallel convergence as well. Just on the maximum range. But really good communication and heads-up play. Steve still has his teleport available, Baron as well. So this is going to give Odo1 some troubles down bottom.
Yeah, Freeze is going to need a QSS here to try and be able to use QSS and then flash away when he gets engaged on like this. But right now, it's Schalke with the Baron, with the Mountain Drake. Actually, no, that's probably going to be a lie. That's why I'm showing both teams got it. Funny enough, a Mountain Drake. We just handed them one.
Yeah. The next one's going to be Mountain.
Yeah.
That's what it could look like.
Could look like this for either team.
For either team. But Innitar at top is taken down by Schalke. And Schalke, they're just pushing two lanes at once.
As soon as you break open the game, one team fight, one Baron, one Inhib turret about to die.
As we said,
Inhib about to die.
One team fight at 30 minutes can seal the deal.
And you get a 1-1 tie as well.
Just like that. Are in Europe after all. That meme will never die. The inhibitor gets chunked down to 20% HP.
And I love that we're still sitting on that cloak from the Azir. Like, no, I don't want that Abyssal Scepter. Stay away from me.
Not going to be needed just yet. One more shot from those Baron empowered minions. Freeze is caught out. The barrel knocks him backwards. A four-man pulverized from Spratel with Freeze down. Fox is left able to clean house. Chrono break backwards from Steve. Buys a couple extra seconds before he's taken down by Ryu. A lot of damage. The Divide sends Odo1 there and Ryu into the waiting hands of Schalke. They will pick their third kill of the fight, turn their attention to the Nexus, and after 30 minutes of farming, Schalke, null fear, turn their attention to the Nexus. Gotta wait for the minions to close this one out. That is the story of the game.
It is.
Gotta wait for the minions.
Minions coming in. Steve is dead, but that's only one guy from Schalke. Rest of the team pushing in. Jankers and Vander. Time to be heroes, but you're pretty useless at this point.
I don't think anything's going to matter. Vander gets taken down as Fox slides his way forward. The remaining members of Schalke take down the Nexus, even out the series 1-1, and take away 4 points in the opening week of the Summer Splits.
We got to yell for 4 minutes in the end, because this was a very slow game. And while H2K had some advantages, if we look at top lane from the lane swap, they did not want to play aggressive. They wanted to wait for items on the Caitlyn. Problem was the amount of engage from Schalke against an AD carry who only has a net, which is a very slow escape to use. Well, one misstep, make it 2 missteps in this one, and he gets caught out. And it's hard to really blame him. We can blame him for the last one where he got stunned by the Echo. That should never happen. But the one in the mid lane at the tier 2 tower, it's really hard. Gragas can body some flash you. Schalke were waiting for that one for such a long time. And it's the power of such a strong engage against an H2K team who did not want to do anything.
To be fair, it took Schalke a very long time to get to that point. They had control of the Baron pit. They had control of the top quadrant of the jungle for, 10 minutes. Between the 20 and 30 minute mark, there was a gigantic S04 flag around the red buff, around the Baron pit.
Above me as well.
And they did not play. They did not play the Baron bait game. They didn't start it and try force objective, because that engage from Gilius was phenomenal. And he could have done that if you could have forced people into a choke point.
Again, we can always go back and say, this could have been done 10 minutes earlier. Because it was the same sort of engage you were looking for. And you didn't even straight up need the AD carry. Whenever the Trundle came in to face check you, you can do the same to him, just create that one pick to get more pressure on the map.
Yeah.
But they were constantly waiting for that one moment.
And that one moment happened because Freeze was out of position.
Well, it's on his tower, but
Under his tower and got okay, that's a little unfair.
It's a tough one, right? The rest of the team weren't even there either, because they were constantly caught catching waves instead of pushing out waves fast enough. They were never the ones being proactive. H2K, despite again having that small advantage early on, We got to highlight as well this the start from Jankos, where it's like, why? Like, that gank in mid is so risky when you have no information of the enemy jungler. And if you can be there in a lane swap, so can he.
So if you step back and we look at the overall performances I mentioned in the game, all 4 games, Schalke able to pick up first blood. They get themselves a 1-1 series. They picked up a 2-0 yesterday. We're going to let the analysts talk a little bit more about that. Before we do that, let's head to Pulse on stage. You're standing by with Gilius.
Thank you, Trevor, and I'm still sure my tie is better than yours, but I'm here with Gilius here on stage after that 1-1 performance. First off, Gilius, exceptional second game. The first game from you guys, not so hot. What did you feel that you changed up between game 1 and game 2 to create such a stark difference?
I think in the first game, we drafted a bit too low engage. They had Azir, so we were a bit lost in the game. The Azir could just hit us for free. And I think I played the early game really badly, so they snowballed from that and got a free Nash. In the second game, I didn't do mistakes in the early game and we just won. Yeah, I would just say I fucked up the first game.
Well, you say that you had like a disappointing performance in the first game, but you're still 3-1 currently with this team on the first week, and your performances have been exceptional, especially yesterday. So what did you change up coming in from the last split?
I think I got much more confident with the experience from the first split, and I think I just learned from my mistakes from the first split. Like I did a lot of mistakes last split, you could see, and yeah.
I want to expand that as well to the rest of your team, because of course you changed mid laner, but speaking to Sprado as well, like more changed on this team. So was it a mentality change? Was it just the way you approached the game, or what was it?
I don't think it's a mentality change. Like Ica was a really nice guy, but Fox is a really good laner. So that enables me to play much more aggressive as a jungler, because he usually pushes the enemy in. His communication is really good. He tells me when I can pressure the enemy jungler. So yeah, that helps a lot.
It seems like a lot of factors have come together now, and I want to talk about expectations, because coming into the split, 1, how were you feeling, and 2, after your first week, have those expectations changed, or are you feeling good to go?
I think it's nice. We went 3-1. It's looking good for we are just trying to get to the playoffs, top 6. That's our main goal. I'm a bit sad about this game, that we just get 1 point, Ties are a bit, I don't know how to feel, you only get 1 point, but yeah, I guess it's fine. Yeah,
still a strong week and well on track towards those playoffs. Thank you very much for the interview, Gilius, and of course the 3-1 on the week. We're going to send it now over to the analyst desk to take a look at that game.
Yeah, should have won the first game.
Yeah, I should have won the first game. I don't know how to feel. Well, 2-0 them?
Yeah.
God damn it.
Then you get more than twice the points. Love the outfits, though. Yeah. We should have stayed in elements. We had our own tracksuit.
Are we down that road again?
They look really comfy.
No, about your history as a pro player.
Fine. Shocks, introduce the next topic.
Yeah, well, the topic at hand is obviously Schalke versus H2K, still 1-1. Let's look a bit closer at we're off to a great start. Picks and bans, obviously, they talked, or Gilius mentioned the fact that they felt that they did a bit better in the draft as well. What did you make of it?
Well, this time we didn't see the priority on the Victor. This time it managed to wheeze its way through the draft a little bit later on. But again, we are seeing more priority on this Caitlyn, and I know Reckless had a couple comments on it during Champs Day.
Yeah, so at least in my experience in scrims, when I've played Caitlyn, I think when I'm playing it on side lane, it's quite hard to know where you're putting your trap line exactly, because you're moving back and forth all the time, and you're very vulnerable as well to the TP flanks. So generally speaking, I think Caitlyn is much more effective if she's put mid, because then you have like the specific line with the traps that you can put down, and you're much more safe farming, and you always pretty much have priority in the mid lane. So all in all, I think it's a good pick, but not in every situation, and I feel like a lot of teams like H2K are prioritizing it very high right now, but playing it incorrectly.
Yeah, if you look at it in a vacuum, just pure laning phase, Caitlyn has like 0 bad matchups, especially if you pair her with a range support. She will bully and win any matchup, but sadly, teams are not getting enough advantages out of laning phase, and then you need to look big picture. I'll definitely agree with Reckless. If you go 1-3-1 double teleport, Caitlyn's a beautiful pick to have in mid lane, because they never can approach your tower. Despite you having kind of slow wave clear, the traps just make it so that nobody can actually challenge your wave clear. You get it down, and you're suddenly in control of the game. But on the side lane, it is so hard to play, and that makes it so you get pushed in. And then one lane, then you have the Maokai getting pushed in by the Echo, and suddenly you're playing at your tower, waiting for the inevitable Gragas flash in.
Yeah, you were mentioning how Schalke and Ulfia in their draft got priority in every lane, and that shaped the way it went.
Yeah, I guess, as Kreppa said, perhaps in laning phase, it was a bit tough for them to get through, but I think at at some point the Sivir is just pushing in the Caitlyn constantly, and there's never really a point where they can leave their towers, because then they open themselves up for the Gragas flash, as you said. And then on the other side of the map, the Echo usually has push priority against the Maokai as well. So I think in general it was just a matter of time actually before they got caught off guard, which happened in the mid lane, I think, later on in the game, and then they just swooped it from there.
Yeah, let's take a look at one of those fights that got things going, because as you mentioned, it took a while for things to get underway in terms of the action front in this game and for the kills to come in. But here we see some magic from Gilius.
Yes, Gilius. He made a beautiful play to get the pick onto the key members of H2K, and I mean, it was just really great execution from Gilius overall. Really bring out the Gragas in the jungle, something that we haven't seen much high priority on, but he definitely made it work.
Yeah, turned his Twitter fingers into trigger fingers right there. finally able to back up the plays, or the words rather, with his plays. Gilius, newfound confidence. Although in the interview, surprisingly, like mellow, I felt. For somebody that has that much talk on Twitter, I was like, yeah, you know what, should have stomped that first game.
No, I actually love the interview because, you know,
it was a good interview.
I mean, I think he also learned his lesson a bit, you know, not to be overzealous, but they show it through results. He did tweet, you know, I'm going to take all the failures and make it into maybe a World Championship win, who knows. And, you know, it's good to hear that he also, without speaking badly about Ica, of course, attributes it to the fact that the new configuration allows him to do different things.
Yeah, but that's League of Legends, you know, there's a ton of really nice people in this scene, but sadly there are better players out there, and then if you can trade Ica for Fox, like 100% do it. Fox, on the Victor and Vlad, just constantly pushing, like Julius said, every single matchup we see him at least putting pressure on the map, and it's so much easier to play the game when other lanes are pushing.
Fox has really impressed me. I thought that he was a little bit tunneled onto this Vlad and Victor, and I thought, well, now he's playing this Azir, how well is he going to do? But he did have some very impressive performances in the very end when they're pushing into the base, holding on to his ultimate to guarantee the kill down onto Victor, because he was the main wave clear, keeping H2K's hopes alive. And being able to set up those picks and those plays was just really impressive. I'm just very impressed with Fox's performance.
Yeah, I'm impressed with Schalke overall. And in this game specifically, Gilius, of course, impresses. And he is our player of the game. Not just that beautiful play he had there, but yesterday he also had some runs where he just put a lot of pressure down on the map. And it seems to be working in the whole of Schalke 04 now.
Yeah, they definitely improved. For me, H2K on the other side, though, feels very slow. Is that something you feel as well when you play against them? Because you have the whole probably macro approach, even last season, but it feels like they don't make any plays outside of that skeleton.
Yeah, I guess as I mentioned before, they had a very specific style that they brought into the spring split that they just continued with throughout the whole time. And I guess they still run on that track still. And it's quite predictable in some ways. And I also think, as I said before, it's less effective with freeze. And in general, I think the meta is not really like favorable if you play that way, because you're just going to get double TP'd on constantly if you're the one making the aggressive plays. So I think they'll have to make some changes perhaps moving forward.
Yeah, especially if you look at their track record. We've always said that they're strong in the spring split, but they stopped evolving, or the team's gotten used to them or could predict what they were going to do. So I hope for their sake that is something they can keep revolutionizing this time around.
Yeah, lane swaps especially.
I'm really hoping that we see more Bard from both these teams, because it managed to slip through the pick and ban phase twice now. And
he cried.
We've seen so much prioritization on Bard from not only other teams, but other regions. He's like the most picked support right now in Korea and in China. And the fact that we're not seeing as much value over here in Europe, I think is a bit of a shame.
Yeah, it's actually really hard for me to judge, because you know, the inner fanboy and all the memes, being a Bard one trick myself, he just feels so strong in nearly every situation, but you just require so much time put into it. But I feel after his release, there's now been such a great length of time where these supports should have by now practiced him enough to at least put him to use. We were talking a little bit about this off air too. Just the problem with the champion is that a good Bard can single-handedly carry a game, but a mediocre Bard is just bad. Like, it just doesn't work. If you need to know the champion much better than your opponent to really find these plays, and maybe that's what's holding some of these teams back, and they rely on, you know, easier champions like an Alistar or a Trundle.
Well, we obviously have a lot to discuss on what's week 1 on the books. It is time for the post-game lobby. Then we get to discuss even more. Let's start with a quick recap, though, of the day's competition. We do. You like it?
Yeah, nice guy.
All right. In any case, it's been a long day. It's been a long 2 days overall. Let's track back to the beginning of the day. Splice versus Roccat. Various, we were on the desk here with the Fisio, all very excited for that matchup, because it seemed like it could be two teams reinvigorated, so to say, and it was a very, very, very exciting series.
Yeah, it certainly was. I mean, Splice, they were able to get the advantage in game 1. Parang bringing out his Jace, which Deficio was not a massive fan of, because Jace up in the top lane, when you try to make those teleport plays, don't really have the same sort of impact to something like a Maokai or maybe even the Gragas. But moving into game 2, they definitely had a significantly better performance. And while Spike, I was looking forward to this game in particular. I thought it was going to be really close. I thought it was going to be really exciting. And fortunately, both these teams were able to bring something out.
Yeah, I was actually really sad I missed this. I was casting on the other stream right now, but everyone's like talking about providing Jace, so apparently it did not work out. First time I see it.
Well, it doesn't work in the comp, yeah.
Well, this game was really all about Betsy though on the Swain. I mean, he brought the Swain out up against the Vlad. He even ran Ignites to have so much more kill pressure in the mid lane. He was playing hyper aggressively, always being on the front line, and he was very deserved of the player of the game in that map.
And so another tie here for Rocket. Yesterday tied against H2K too. Betsy so far in wins every time has the
I think he's the leader in player of the game because he is the only person that has 2. Actually, Trick also has 2. But we'll take a look at that leaderboard later. Oh, that shirt. Wonderful. Bringing the fashions. In any case, Reckless, obviously, we were looking a lot at Roccat with their new import Koreans, obviously, but also Steelback, that person you know very well, or a player you know very well. How do you think he can change kind of the dynamic of Roccat in the summer split?
Well, I think something that was really underestimated in the past for this lineup specifically was the Betsy and Airvox. I think both of them are really good players, and especially together, I think they can create a lot of room for the others. And a player like Steelback, who stepped up big time in the spring split, can definitely grow into this room, I think. I don't have too much information on the Koreans, but in scrims, they both look pretty decent. Then again, I haven't seen his Jace yet, but...
That is so far the notion for, I think, almost all Korean imports that we have here in Europe. Decent, but nobody really stands out as like a hard carry. So when you see if it maybe is the meta, as the Reckless just said, so being team reliant, that it doesn't, individual performance isn't really allowed to shine anymore. Or if, you know, maybe they just don't have the talent, but they need some gel time at least. I think we'll wait until week 3 and 4 until we can actually get the final judgment on a lot of these players. Well,
a Korean import that did great today was on UOL in that series versus OG. After seeing what UOL did yesterday, we didn't have the high hopes for them, but they completely destroyed Origin.
Yeah, but it was actually, I think Exile's actually the German kid that really carried. No, wait, I'm confused right now. Never mind. Move. Let's just talk about...
Yeah, Exile is on UOL.
Yeah, I'm like, my mind is just
Exile really stepped up for me in particular. I talked about him yesterday underperforming, maybe having a bit of nerves, but today he seemed to be in an environment that suited him perfectly.
LeBlanc
he got the LeBlanc.
Yeah, he is German. I was like so confused. Korean import, because for me, because there was like move carried that game, but for me, Exile just on LeBlanc twice, he took full control. They played a similar style that Fnatic did with the very heavy skirmishes, you know, we don't need tanks. Move helped him set up for it though. Definitely a different contrast, because we were talking about in our lead-in. Yesterday they went like something like 0 and 13 or something, the weakest jungle mid combination we've seen in absolute ages. And right now, some really good flash cocoons, especially the one that tilted Forgiven that we saw at the start of the clip when I was still tilting. He went for a flash cocoon on Janna, and then Forgiven panic flashed into a wall. It's like maximum tilt, and I think that was spelled out the rest of the series. Game 2, Expeke subbed in, but it wasn't any different. Yeah, Exile just took off.
It didn't help. So UOL, obviously, great that they came back, but we got to talk about Origin. Obviously, they are 0-4 in games. And just looked, I even think they looked better yesterday. They had 2 losses versus G2, but that was more to be expected against that top team. Reckless, can you talk me through kind of the Forgiven hybrid dynamic and how that changed the way Origin plays?
Actually, I had kind of high hopes for both Forgiven and hybrid together. I think they play sort of similar, and they think sort of similar. So I'm not sure exactly what I expected going into, for example, yesterday's game, because I know G2 is a pretty good lineup and one of the strongest teams, judging of scrims. But to see them perhaps not step up even today was a bit saddening.
Yeah, I think you make a good point there from the scrim point. I can see how this lineup could perform in a slightly more solo queue environment. Like in scrims, if you have a 50-50, you know, can we maybe kill this guy? You will always go for it, you know, and on stage, you will respect Fog of War more. It does seem that Origin is really still in that mentality. It's like, oh, this guy's right here, let's try and kill him. Oh, it turns out we're playing on the wrong side of the map, or there's more people collapsing, no communication. I think they definitely have the talent, but they lack a leader. Part of the leadership was Mithy amazing as a combo. Yeah. They lost Mithy right now. Mithy is clearly doing work in G2, still kind of molding the team there, but they really need to get back on track. I think we will see more Expeke, because I think the dynamics going to change to Expeke and amazing shot calling together.
And we discussed yesterday how the meta is changing in the mid lane and how this could very well be Power of Evil's meta. He liked to play those sort of control mages mid, and so far he has not been performing. He pulled out the Ryze yesterday, got completely destroyed by, the Varus yesterday got completely destroyed by Perks. He also pulled out the Orianna today and just wasn't able to perform.
Yeah, and it was also an interesting shift for me because, as we said, last particular round, Expected only stepped in because Power of Evil was sick. And then in the finals, it wasn't that Power of Evil didn't play good, but this time he also admitted it himself on social media. I just didn't play good. And to have that happen in week 1, it doesn't spell a lot of good for me out for OG. I don't really know. As said, the communication has to change. How much of a role can Hybrid play in that?
I don't think like Hybrid had to communicate much in G2 either, though. It felt like a lot of their gameplay just was on individual prowess and snowball, and everybody's just like, yeah, just fight your way out, and eventually they'll win. Yeah, we need to see how he evolves. It's also really hard for a player. Remember, Hybrid's still very young, very new to the stage. To come into a lineup with personalities, I don't want to say like egos because we don't know how they operate, but like personalities like Soas, Amazing, and Forgiven. Those are 3 very stern voices that have like very absolute opinions. To come into that as Hybrid, it may be a little challenging to find his groove and kind of try to shock all these people.
Yeah, another thing I was looking at is Power of Evil just in general, because 2 years ago when he bursted onto the scene, we were in awe all the time, and he would do very good in lane and solo kill these people that have been around forever. And now Exile is kind of the same. Reckless, do you think there is a part of you when you become a pro player and you get to step into that limelight? Do you become calmer along the way when you get more experience? And maybe does that not work out? How have you seen that for yourself? Have you, because you're there longer, you take the safer option more, and that's maybe not the best option when before you would have just gone ham?
I would probably say so, yeah. I think with time you get maybe even complacent sometimes. Meanwhile, if you're new, you have like nothing to lose, everything to win a bit. So I would definitely say so. And I think, especially during the first weeks, the newer players are really, really hungry to get back in there, right? But the ones who have been around for a longer time, they're more kind of eased back perhaps and just sticking around for playoffs, right? And I think that might hurt the more experienced ones.
Yeah, you also never want to be that guy, you know, as an experienced player to then just make a big mistake because you get more you just get the spotlight on that.
Yeah.
It also it tracks into a bigger discussion regarding maybe burnouts, you know, or pacing, because like a lot of these young players, they come in flying, they won't sleep. Like they'll say like, you know what, I can practice 3 hours more if I only sleep 4 hours a night. Beautiful, let's go. And then obviously down the line, you'll feel that hit you.
Yeah, but Exile definitely a good opening performance overall. Yesterday had a really hard time, but showed up today and showed that he can do it as well. Another series we had today was Giants up versus G2. G2 2-0 once again. They are the best performing team in the opening weekend here in the EULCS, which was to be expected. Obviously, Sven and Mithy was the big transfer there. How do you think they have gelled into that lineup?
Well, as Krepo said before, perhaps the G2 shot calling in the old lineup wasn't like anyone specifically, it was perhaps just more individual instincts, right? So with Mithy coming in, perhaps they're cleaning up a lot of the chaos that they had before, but still having that aggressiveness that they were so famous for. So I think it's a pretty balanced roster all in all.
And to be fair, I thought this was going to come from Maxlaw. I mean, in game 2 of Giants, he did have a great early game in setting up the laners for success, and having him join the team and having seen him in the past, I felt like he would be the voice to unite Giants, but based on what they saw against J2, they just couldn't match up.
Yeah, we saw some good things from Giants to work with, but in the end, G2 was too strong. Reckless, before you talked about types of AD carries and where Sven slots in. How do you think that works within the other players that we see in G2?
I mean, Sven has been pretty used to be played around in Origin specifically, but I think in general, if you're a good player, you can play any style. Like you don't have to stick to one specific one. And I think in the end, anyways, it's up to like the draft. You should be able to be last priority. You should be able to be first priority. It should all just depend on what your game plan is all in all. So I think he's more than good enough to understand that himself.
Where do you see G2 ending here?
Well, going into the split, I had really high hopes for them. I mean, they are probably the best looking team at paper. So especially now when they already have a 4-0 in the first week, I think they have a lot of room to grow in. I think they're very confident in themselves, and
yeah, they definitely built themselves a buffer. I think 4-0 was almost expected from G2. It was more the manner in which they would do it. Maybe against Origin, you could argue a little bit there. They still have a lot of work around their objectives still, around Baron, but luckily for them, they just have a wealth of talent. People like to rag on Kikis, but I think he knows his... This sounds so bad. Like, he knows his place. He just knows that he has to play a low econ style very often, and maybe they can change and let him carry more, but he knows his limits there.
Had
and that's
great
enough.
games
Like,
today.
you can't have 3 high econ players.
I was going to say, today he did bring out the fizz, and having a look at the draft, I was like, well, you know, we've been talking a lot about how he is a low econ top laner. How's he going to do on more of this carry style? And he managed to get a solo kill onto Smitty J. Take that what you will. I mean, he is definitely stepping up in terms of being that extra carry that G2 do they need? Well, I don't know.
An extra carry never hurts.
Yeah.
No, it never hurts. In any case, a lot of teams have a lot of things to learn and look back on. So it's time to look back on Fnatic's opening weekend, as you have you here, Reckless, as well. Vitality today, a 1-1, and you were mentioning that you felt like you made it very difficult for yourselves in the draft in the first game.
Yeah, I guess the words I was using was that we were playing through Fire and Flames from Guitar Hero on expert mode when you could have just played on medium, no problem. So yeah, I think we kind of shot ourselves in the foot going into the first game with the way we drafted.
What specifically?
Yeah. I think, to sum it up shortly, their front line was stronger than ours, and their back line was stronger than ours. And at the same time, they have a double TP advantage, so we didn't really have any winning conditions.
I would argue that your backline with Azir and I think it was Lucian, right?
Yeah.
Had a stronger...
For me, it was just, we had a backline of 2, but they had a backline of 3.
Yeah, but you had stronger continued DPS, and that's how Fnatic actually won some of these fights, but they required perfect execution in the sense that every fight Lissandra comes in, Spirit would have to kick her out. Yeah. Then they would have to peel back, hope that they kept committing, and that's when Fnatic cleaned up. Yeah. But if you definitely have, if you missed this game, just watch it for the team fights. Look, got the handshakes here. We are part of the fans. I like this game because it left really nice room for banter between me and Sifa to get him.
It was a great cast, to be honest.
And then we also had some really nice team fights, both where Fnatic lost due to the Nuke Dog just doing some fantastic plays, but also where they understood the pacing of the fight, waited, and then the continued DPS of Lucian and Azir shine through in the end.
Yeah, you talk about the team fights. We have to talk, of course, to you about the return of Yellowstar. We had an interview with him yesterday where he said it was like I had never gone. It just slotted right back in. How has it been from your experience having him back?
Well, from a player perspective and an individual one, it just felt natural from like game 1. I think we've played together for enough time now to just know exactly what the other one wants to do. I think I was watching a feature on Afremo and Stixay the other day, and Afremo was speaking about how he and Doublelift back in the day had this kind of synergy where they didn't really need to communicate because they understood each other on such a deep level. And I think me and Bora have something very similar. And then on a personal note, I think we've always kind of been cool with each other, and especially now with him going to gym every day, I figured I would just come along and perhaps become more than just a pretty face for once.
Humble brag.
Yeah, so it's been really good to have him back, honestly, and I think it kind of showed as well in the games that I just trusted him blindly.
Yeah.
Good. People followed him. Sometimes he went a little bit too far. That's why they drafted Kalista then to pull him back.
Yeah, no, but we have to ask about that
Protect
because
each other.
no other team or AD carry puts a priority that high on the Kalista. Why is that for you guys?
Well, I think Kalista is always Kalista, right? You just bring the utility for your support. And even though she's seen a lot of nerfs, I think she kind of fits in well once the Lucian's gone. I mean, in general, most of the picks after Lucian are
so next patch
just situational anyways. And I think Kalista is actually one of the few that are not super duper situational. When I was talking about the Caitlyn, for example, that a lot of teams are picking in the first rotations, in my opinion, that's incorrect because you should just be playing it in the 1-3-1s, right? Meanwhile, Kalista can kind of slot in anywhere.
Yeah.
It brings a lot of CC that you might not have in the current setups.
Definitely like it in the faster paced comps with the LeBlancs, etc. Just going for hard lane wins and then just snowball the map.
And just to go back on what Ify was saying with the changes in patch 6.11 coming out, I feel like Fnatic are actually ahead of the curve in terms of what AD carries are going to be really strong, because I do think we're going to see a rise in the Sivir, the Kalista. I'm hoping we see more Ashe. We've already seen a lot of it in LCK, but if you guys do bring out the Ashe, please, because I think it's really good for setting up engages and it's a really fun champion to watch.
Well, we'll see. We can, of course, fight it out of them. But in any case, after week 1, our spring champions G2 Esports are in first with 6 points after a perfect start to the summer. Fnatic, Schalke are both tied for second with 4 points, and then Giants, Origin are without a win in week 1. Not all of that is to be expected, of course. Schalke is quite a surprise to me, to be honest, that everything is going so well for them.
Yeah, always have to temper early reactions because certain teams have had an easier schedule. So I do like the high amount of games we're playing. We've already seen so much league. Usually after like a week 1 of a new patch, you see a little bit of things, but not the most. I think teams will really have to kind of speed up their preparation and their adaptation in between weeks because we get so much exposure to so many different scenarios.
Unicorns of Love is the team that I'm probably going to be keeping my eyes on the most because we saw them have a really bad game against Schalke, but then a really good game against Origin. So I still don't know where they fall in the spectrum, and right now they are in the middle of the pack. And moving on to next week, I think it will be a better representation of how much they've grown as a team and how well they gel together.
We'll see. Reckless, how has the experience of best of twos been for you?
Well, I know, for example, after losing the first game, that if it was just the best of one, I would have been really sad because I think if we just, as we could see in the game too, if we just drafted it properly, we had a much better chance of winning the game. Because I don't even think the second draft was like in any specific favor for us. It was just more balanced out. So I think obviously it's a win that we got to play another game and got to like make revenge for ourselves. But at the same time, I still think that we kind of have to owe it up that we screwed up in the first game. So I think a 1-1, for example, for this series, fair and square. And I would call it a much better solution than, for example, just going home with that loss.
I'm feeling bad about that. Well, we almost have to wrap up here, but I do want to check in with you guys over on Twitter because you tweeted up a storm. We wanted to know what power picks you were expecting on patch 6.10. And at Rusty Lol, hey, we know that guy. Yeah. Vlad, because Vlad, I'm laughing straight to the blood bank with this. You had a lot to say about Vlad.
Yeah, so I wasn't convinced initially by Vlad, but it seems that Vlad's laning phase, which was his weakest point, has now pretty much been solved with the addition of Crimson Rush. It's really difficult to outtrade the Vlad unless you pick the Swain into it, which we saw really interestingly from Betsy, but I mean, Vlad really has grown a lot as a mid laner.
Reckless, how fun is it as an AD carry to play versus Vlad?
I think I played my first game against Vlad. Okay, yeah, okay, it's fine. Okay, so I played my first game against Vlad when we were screaming Schalke, and Fox was pulling it. I was considering if I
he played it.
Yeah, he played it, so it's okay. And like, I didn't really know, first of all, how it was working properly, and then when he just flashed eat me and it took like half my HP, I was just, yeah, I think we should play this champion. So we started playing it, and it became, I guess, highly contested throughout these 2 days.
Yep, definitely.
But I definitely think it will stick around, especially nowadays. The comps generally have a lot less CC than they had a couple of patches ago. So a champion like Vlad or a champion like Swain just have a lot of potent in the meta all in all because they just can stay alive forever without the CC keeping them down.
They're nice to see played as well. Now let's take a look at the players of the game because we have a lot after our first couple of days. Betsy, Febvin, Julius, Nukeduck, and Trick, they have earned the honor twice. So we're definitely seeing not all ones and some difference there. Exile in there as well as move to EUL players. And then Ryu and Wonder. Febvin, of course, up there. He won a lot in the Spring Split as well. But a nice diversified leaderboard, which I think reflects the fact that we have seen a lot of teams that could go up against each other and not just a clear bottom of the table and top of the table.
Yeah, and also just to see, nice to see some improvement day to day, especially from move Invisible day 1. Some really nice plays here on day 2. Flash cocoons. Especially there was this phase against Amazing where Amazing was in a brush and you could walk up and hope that he wouldn't notice you and try to cocoon, but because he knew flashes were down, he went for a flash cocoon himself. I mean, it reads super easy, but it's the little things. I like the confidence he was playing with. Definitely helped the Unicorns get those wins.
Nukeduck as well. I mean, this guy right now seems to be the bread and butter of his team. If he does badly, his team does badly. If he does well, his team does well.
Well, if he picks LeBlanc, he does badly.
Well, okay, that seems to be the data that we have so far, yeah. But his Lissandra is really good, and that's why he's sitting at the top right now, because when he does make those plays on Lissandra, they are very impressive, and hopefully he can continue to grow moving forward. I'd like to see more diversity in his chat pool, but with the changes in patch 6.11, I'm hoping that we will see more mid.
Well, he has a lot of games to show it because the 2016 EULCS Summer Split continues next Thursday with H2K versus Giants and Vitality versus Origin. We'll also see the Unicorns of Love face Fnatic and Roccat versus G2. Reckless, that matchup versus UL, of course, there's a bit of history with the backdoors and stuff in UL versus Fnatic, but they showed a strong game here today, so what do you think?
Yeah, I guess, as you said before, it's quite hard to tell where to put them because they had this really good game against Origin, right? And then the not so good one against Schalke, so I don't think we'll be doing anything differently though than we have been doing so far. I think all in all, like, our scrims have been really good, and I think we have actually been one of the better teams. throughout the scrims during these past 2 weeks or so. But then again, you know, scrims are scrims, and once you get to the stage, things are very different. So you never really know where to put your enemy team, especially during these first weeks, and you never really know where to put yourself. So you kind of just try to make the best out of it and then grow from there.
Well, Yellow Star said top 3 for Fnatic, so we got that at least.
I can't even see myself not going to Worlds, so
yeah.
We'll have to work our way there.
To be honest.
Same. Cool. In any case, our coverage begins Thursday evening at 5 p.m. Central European Summertime. That is 8 a.m. Pacific. But don't worry, there is a whole lot more LCS coming your way this week, starting tonight with a rematch of the North American Spring Finals between TSM and Counter Logic Gaming. And we'll see Team Envy versus Energy Esports in the second series of the night. Those games will hit your browser starting tomorrow at 2 a.m. Central European Summertime. That's like in 3 hours or something. And this evening at 5 p.m. for those observing Pacific Daylight Time.
Somewhere in the future.
Somewhere in the future. It's not that far away at all. For us here in Berlin, though, it is time to call it a night. For myself, the casters, and everyone here behind the scenes, it's time to call up. At the European LCS, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you to Reckless for joining us as well at the start of the summer 2016. And we'll see you back here next week.
Heading on to the Rentic will be the first game here on Screen 1 EULCS. Field comes up, a lot of help coming back right into the Sanguine pool. Razor's following after, but he managed to take down the Vladimir, and now the tables have indeed turned.
Brad.
I'm fine. They're really low, Nice.
Crashing into the backline, onto Steelback, but he's got no support, no backup, as both these teams go one-on-one. Rockout with a win over Splice. This is nice from Max on Hustle, potentially setting up a kill, but Perks is going to swing in and land the ultimate onto Knight for the first blood.
I go now, come. Yeah, slowly. I got me. I'm fine. Ezreal on the flash now.
It's going to be credit to Sven. The double will be going over to him, but he's under the tower. Can't out-heal that one. Kickers are going to come in for the kill.
Come fight me then, boy. Oh my god, this wasn't even close. Oh shit, I'm gonna win it. I'm gonna win it.
I think
I'm gonna win. No, actually, am I gonna lose it?
In the same boat, Knight will go down. Both mid laners exchange. Sunstar getting taken out there by Trick, and Hudson will receive the same fate. Double kill coming out there from Sven. G2, 2-0 on the day over Giants.
Storm continues to chase down. Ryu might get 1v1. Siphon power. First blood for Fox. Oh no, Chrono breaks to stay alive for a few seconds longer before Steve is taken down. Things have got messy, but it's Schalke that have got themselves two already.
Chase. I'm on Victor. Victor is dead. Victor. I'm on.
Pick it in.
Yeah, let's go.
There's the body slam into the parallel convergence. H2K have lost Freeze just like that. Schalke break the game wide open. A lot of damage. The Defy sends O2 there and Ryu into the waiting hands of Schalke. The remaining members of Schalke take down the Nexus, even out the series 1-1, and take away 4 points in the opening week of the Summer Split.